welcome back to the channel, where today I'm in a 1,000 kilometre old 2026 Hyundai i20N. And if you've been following this relatively new channel for a little while, you've probably realised that I do enjoy a good hot hatch. I've had a few on the channel so far. And if you are a hot hatch enthusiast, it's a pretty sad climate in Australia at the moment because, well, there's really not that many left. The Megane RS and Clio RS are gone, the Focus and Fiesta ST are gone, Peugeot GTIs are gone, the Mazda 3 MPS, that's gone too, and the humble Swift Sport and Polo GTIs are gone as well. And the Toyota GRs and Civic Type Rs remain super expensive, so really the main contenders out there are the i30Ns, the Golf GTIs and Rs, and this, the i20N. And this is actually the i20N's last year in production after being a very successful car in the Australian market. So, what is it like? Well, let's find out. Now, owning a Peugeot 306 GTI6, I do like a hot hatch with a bit of a backstory. You know, Peugeot have had years of making fast front-wheel drive cars. Volkswagen as well, the Golf GTI has been out for a very long time. But Hyundai never really had a backstory. They were building cars like the Excel and the Getz, and then one day some German ex-BMW M engineers came on the scene in Korea, and cars like this were the result, with both the i30N and i20N. And I'm very keen to see just how good it is. A hot hatch is supposed to be easy to drive and dailyable. It's the whole point of one. And this car is so easy to live with and get to know quickly. The clutch is easy. The engine is quiet and non-intrusive and just drives along normally. Not much below 2,000 RPM though. You do have to be up in the rev range a little bit. The steering in its lightest setting is so easy to use. Visibility is good. It's not dimensionally a very big car, so lane placement is just so good. Speedo in analog form is really easy to read, and you've got a nice uninterrupted digital component to it in the middle. Infotainment, it's got a good sat-nav system, a climate setting where you can get a little bit more specific with the climate control settings. It's got an N mode with a whole bunch of driving telemetry as well. Really easy to use, responsive to the touch, pretty good. The mirrors, really big and easy to see out of actually. The visibility through the mirrors is excellent. The car has 4 driving modes, Eco, Normal, Sport and N. It's got 2 customizable driving modes as well. However, it only adjusts throttle mapping and steering. The dampers are fixed rate. And around town, it's definitely busy, but it's not uncomfortable, even just for normal driving. It rounds off the edges of the bumps so well that it doesn't feel crashy. The lane keep assist though, that just intruded then, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, which I've done. Yeah, turn off lane keep assist, probably the first thing you should do when you get into this car. Interior, the Golf still leads the way, I think, with hot hatch interior quality. It's relatively Spartan, but when you consider the price point and the fact it is a subcompact, yeah, you can learn to live with the interior pretty well. Good driving position. Seats are good, they're pretty firm, but they're not uncomfortable. Bolstering's good. Gear change is really nice. And my favorite thing, an analog handbrake, not an electric one. NVH, excellent. A little bit of tyre noise from the Pirelli P0s. Yes, this car comes factory with P0s. The tyres are 215, 45 section and 18-inch rims. Peak torque comes in at about 1,750 and it carries you all the way to about 4.5. The gear ratios are pretty well judged, albeit they are relatively short. I mean, no surprise considering the type of car and the type of roads that this car was designed for. Steering, like pretty much all modern cars, it is electric, so it is void of feel naturally, which is a shame when you consider the sort of fundamentals that this car is trying to achieve. A small, lightweight hot hatch, but it has such keen turning that your initial sort of surprise comes in from how fast the car wants to dive into a corner rather than the steering feel. So the actual poise of the front end does make up for a little bit of reduction in steering feel. You can adjust the car within its lane really, really easily. That's the best thing about small cars on these sorts of roads, is that you feel like you have so much lane that you can start sort of experimenting with lines. And it's so satisfying. In a Porsche 911, for example, I'd be a lot more conscious of how wide the car is. Not the case in this. But let's go into N mode. Steering's gotten heavier. Like I have said, the same thing with the Mustang I drove the other week. Heavier steering doesn't increase feel, so it can make it feel a little bit artificial. But the front end is so amazingly grippy that it offsets that, honestly. It's just a mentality thing, I think. The grip that this car offers through the front and how you can just load up the front end so aggressively and it just responds. You can sort of mentally, you can work your way around the lack of feel. Brakes, yeah, good. A lot of feel. The rotors are 320mm fronts and about 262 rear. And in a car that only weighs, and I haven't really spoken about this yet, 1.2 tons, that is not heavy. So you got plenty of brake bite when you need it. Not a lot of feel through the pedal, but you get consistency and the sensitivity is well servoed. So yeah, good brakes. There we go, a little bit of runoff. The engine is relatively muted, to be honest, in sort of feel and sound when you run through it. It's effective. I mean, power is up to 200 horsepower and 304 newton meters when it's in overboost, between 2000, I think between 2000 and 400, but 275 newton meters is available from about 1750 RPM. So the numbers for a car that weighs so little are really, really, really promising. I'll put my foot down a little bit. Yeah, it feels quick though, because it's such a light car. It gets the power to the road so well. I am of the opinion, this is a massive statement, but I'm going to say it. This is more fun. I had a Porsche Cayman on the channel a few months ago, not a Cayman S or a GTS or anything. It was the base Cayman at the bottom of the range, the 2-litre 4-cylinder. This is more fun. I'm having more fun with this. I'm getting more chassis feedback. The suspension is working better. It's just a more characterful, more drive, and the front end turn is better. It's got a more assertive front end. The suspension works so well at rounding off the bumps mid-corner. Like I said, you know the suspension's working, you know how stiff this car feels. It feels tremendously rigid, but it does a good job at keeping the car on its line. The chassis is superbly balanced. It feels like it has a pretty central pivot point. So you feel like you are in the center of the car a little bit like old Peugeots feel. On the road, I don't wish for more of anything. I don't want more grip or anything like that. That's more than enough for what is usable in the day-to-day world on the public road, which is exactly where these kind of cars, in my opinion, should excel. And believe me, it does. Such neutral chassis feel. It is so resistant to body roll. Obviously, being a light car, that does really help. Now, obviously, like I said before, the i20N has the Torsen mechanical limited slip diff. So yeah, when you up this bottle on the road, it's amazing how effectively the diff works. There is not one hint of torque steer. It just pulls you towards the apex. Like, it is incredible that we've gotten front wheel drives to a point where they can do that so fastly. I mean, that was full throttle through that corner. It kept me locked right towards the inside. The only thing that I wish this car did a little bit more, I wish it just had a little bit more engine enthusiasm. It's an effective engine, it's a quick car, but just the feel, it sort of lacks a little bit of character in the engine department. I wish it had a little bit more feel through the steering. If this car had the steering that it does, just with a bit more communication, and an engine with a little bit more character dynamically, it would be flawless. It is so communicative in every other aspect. You get so much feedback through the chassis and the suspension. You can really feel the grip levels of the tires. So it does really talk to you in the chassis department with exactly what's going on. So very, very confidence inspiring. And I think if it had 2 less doors, I know it's practical, but there's something about 3-door hot hatches. I mean, Peugeots were like that. Clio Williams, they were all 3-door. So I think having a 3-door option would be just visually a little bit more pleasing. This car achieves exactly what a hot hatch should. Everything that a hot hatch should encompass, this does. It is exceptionally well receptive of aggressive driving, and yet it is somehow still so easy just to drive normally. It's almost like in the day-to-day context, it goes back to the roots of the Hyundai Getz. It's just a Getz on steroids. And to think that hot hatches now, I mean, the Golf GTI isn't made in manual anymore, and it is nowhere near as entertaining as this, as satisfying and as great of a car as it is. It just doesn't have the feel-good factor. But either way, it's only made in manual. The Polo GTI, only made in auto, the DSG. The Polo GTI, not quite as popular as this. This has sold more in 2025. 1,200 of these were sold. They are big numbers. The Yaris GR starting at nearly 60 grand and the Corolla GR at nearly 67 grand, and the Civic Type R pretty much matching the Corolla's price, that's if you can even get an allocation for one anyway, doesn't exactly make them easily attainable. And when you wind the clock back 15 years ago or so, how much more variety was there back then? So I think this is one of the last hot hatches you can buy that really knows what a hot hatch represents. And value for money, I don't think you can really beat it either. And how tragic that it's ending production. Why? You guessed it, Hyundai are focusing on a more EV focused lineup, which that is just, the thought of that is just nightmare fuel. So enjoy these while you still can. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. That does mean the world to me, and all you got to do is just press a button. It's completely free. Like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, there'll be more cars to come very soon. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next one.